WALA in Washington, had been a reporter in Massachusetts before, very well thought of, and 23 years of marriage. But you didn't find out that your husband had been sexually abused. That's pretty important stuff, until you read the book. How did you feel, Gail?
I knew that something very tragic had happened to him when he was younger, because he would bring up little things, and I knew that something terrible happened, but he always stopped at a certain point and never filled in the details. So it wasn't until I read the manuscript that I found out what happened.
And then how did you feel that 23 years married and he hadn't told you?
I didn't feel angry that he hadn't told me, because I think I understand from him, because we've talked about it so much since, that the shame and embarrassment that went along with it made him feel so crippled. I know for a fact that he's closer to me than he is to anyone in the world, me and the girls, and I always felt that if he felt comfortable enough to share with me and the girls, then he would do that. But this has been a real growing and learning experience for the whole family.
It's very good that you're telling this, Senator, because a lot of abuse victims feel shame, and they can look at you, see how you've overcome it, the fact that you're a United States Senator sitting in Kennedy's seat. How do you feel about that?
Well, certainly I wrestled with it. I have for 42 years, and it's not easy to talk about even now. And one of the points when you're in that situation, the perpetrator will say, no one will believe you.
Right.
And that's still the case, even 42 years later. I'll make sure that you can't tell anybody, and I'll hurt the people that you love. And when you're 10 years old, you're like, okay, who do I tell? Do I tell the director? Well, he works for the director. Do you tell his buddy? Who do you tell?
Well, you were smart enough to figure out his own interests.
I have a question, because one of the things that I've always thought about Teddy Kennedy, we were talking about him backstage, is that he understood what real people were going through. Now, you are probably come from a background like a lot of people out here. So what can you tell people? How can you explain to people the process of moving forward and forgiveness? Because clearly you've forgiven your mom. You don't forget, but you can forgive.
Well, because you have to learn and grow, number one. And then there's enough trouble in the world that you don't focus on the bad. You have to focus on the good, number two. But it's certainly a work in progress still. But I'm excited about the opportunity to share it, because if I can help a couple of people come to grips, number one, fight back. And the only mistake I made in retrospect is to not tell anybody. Right. And I didn't trust in my mom or dad enough back then to actually say, hey. And my mom says, was that the time you were calling me to come home from camp? I said, yeah, Mom, that was it.
Oh, wow. Senator, why not? I mean, you said that you don't have presidential aspirations, true?
That's true.
Okay, I'll take you at your word. But why now? Why write this book at this point in your life?
Well, people, obviously, I won a very historic seat, as you pointed out before the show, and they came and asked if I would write a book. And when I was writing the book, I wanted to make sure that I didn't, gloss over the tough things and just focus on, hey, I won this great election. I wanted people to understand that I, like many other people in this audience and people watching, have had tough times. But we all have. And the thing is, that's only one part of my life. And if you have good people around you, whether it's a loved one, a husband, coaches, families, and friends, you can be better and do better and break that cycle. And it's so critical. We're so negative all the time. I said to Whoopi back, sometimes can we just get along and just kind of move forward, because we're in deep trouble.
Senator, one thing we do get along about is we all love that Cosmo cover that you were in, to bring it up, the elephant in the room, that centerfold that you did. We can all get along about that. You were 22 when you started your modeling career. You were 22.
We
saw Barbara in the same issue. We saw it when she was in there.
Excuse me, not nude.
You were nude, Barbara.
Okay.
But you said when you did that spread that you were totally unprepared, you were uncomfortable, you were embarrassed. Yeah. Then can I ask, why did you do it?
Well, I basically had nothing. As you know, I had a tough upbringing, but needed to pay for law school. I wanted to be a lawyer. The opportunity came along. I did it. I don't regret it. I never would have met my wife and had my kids and been here with you guys ultimately.
Do you think
so.
you have a hard time with people taking you? I know if a woman does this, it's harder to take her seriously. Do you think people still take you seriously despite this?
It was 30 years ago, and I'm a lieutenant colonel in the military. I'm still serving.